This meeting of the Public Safety Commission to order. This is our August 4th, 2025 meeting, and it is 7 p.m. I'm going to ask that we have a quorum established of the commission, please. Oh,
I don't have any of the paperwork, so
okay.
yeah, I'm sorry.
So Commissioner Chair Adeline Jones is here. Commissioner Lynn Glenn is here. Commissioner Ted Hales is here. Commissioner Alex Ricca is here. And Commissioner Donald Shang is here. Those are all our commissioners and we're all present. Okay, we need to approve the agenda by motion. Let's discuss that. Does anybody want to move anything around?
Well, we have two guests from the Rancheria, and I would like to move them up from the bottom to the top, just out of courtesy to them.
That's
Appreciation of their attending.
okay. That's 9C. Agency and
Yes,
program check-in, Blue Lake
yes.
Rancheria office. Okay.
Will we always do that for all the agency check-in?
We could if we wanted to. We haven't decided that yet. If you have an objection, we need to hear that.
No, I'm just thinking that's what you should be thinking about.
We
The
could.
Agencies, yeah, but I don't
We
think
could
we have
consider
anyone
that. That's always something to consider.
here. Mhm.
All right. Any other discussion before I ask from the public if there's anyone that would like to move anything around? Does the public wish anything moved around in the agenda? Mr. Sawatsky? This is not public comment. This is just the agenda.
I understand.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
it's not
Thank
my
you.
first rodeo, yeah, mine.
It's
Um,
Adeline, but thank you.
It would be, in my opinion, best to move all of the reports as one thing. It's one item on your agenda. You have subsections, I think, on that thing, so I would move it in one thing as far as that goes, and take all the reports at one time. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment about our agenda? Okay, back to our commission. What is the desire of the commission as far as moving 9C, the Blue Lake Rancheria item up, since we have some people from the Rancheria? It could go under public input, or actually it should probably go under appoint a secretary, because we really need to have a secretary.
I would move the entire item 9 up if you want to move the things around because they are one item.
I'd second that motion.
Okay. There's a motion made by Lynn Glenn, seconded by Alex Ricca, to move all of item 9. Where did you want that? Under item 4?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion from the commission? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. Item 3, public input. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the commission that is relative to the scope of authority of the City of Blue Lake Public Safety Commission that is not on the agenda. The commission may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session. To assure that each individual presentation is heard, the commission will uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time each commission takes up with each specific agenda item. Is there anyone here for public comment? Kent Sawatsky?
Thank you for my opportunity to make public comment. I think the safety and the partnership that will be forged and is being shown here today is going to be extremely important for Blue Lake. I want to thank our tribal representatives for being here. It's a whole new world in Blue Lake these days where we look forward to working with the tribe. We reached out to them, sent them a letter. We've had about 10 years of hiatus where we haven't had a working relationship on anything, and safety is going to be one of our biggest concerns to work with the tribe on and address together. I will make some comments on lack of safety that happened at our Annie Mary Day. I believe that's on the agenda later. So I did wish to thank them, and I feel it's a whole new world in so many facets for Blue Lake to have a partnership that looks like it will be ongoing and working. So was another concern. I'll tell you, maybe it's on the agenda. So thank you for the opportunity to speak on this topic.
Is there any other public comment? Okay. We'll move on then. We did need to appoint a recording secretary, discussion and possible action. Jill has agreed to come here and let us into the building, but she needs to leave, so she won't be able to continue recording. Is that correct?
It's
Jill?
a little bit more than just the one time, just in general, because I only have 960 hours that is available to council. We really need to kind of keep it into that 40-hour week, and it sounds like there's a number of other boards and commissions. So I may have to do a little hopscotching. So, being available just to take notes and then, do the processing of it, I need to find a way to make it more expeditious for the city. So having somebody here, taking some notes, and the most important thing really is action minutes. That's what you're, legally required to have, and ideally, if there's a way to time it so that if you're going to use the video, so that people have a sense of I want to understand more about what was discussed, how deep it was discussed. It would be great to get a timestamp on it. But the most important thing is getting those action minutes, and then having those action minutes transmitted to City Hall, so that if there are items that have to come before the city council, we can make sure that it's handled in a timely manner. I'm sorry I can't do more than that right now, but I do have that limitation, and so I wanted to make sure that I was able just to address you guys so that you.
So are you
weren't
planning to also attend other commission meetings? For
I will be
instance, the
telling the
planning
other.
commission is
I will be
an
telling
important
the other commissions the same thing.
one. Yeah,
You know,
okay,
so
yeah,
I realize that's
it's difficult.
it's unusual for Blue Lake. It is not unusual for most other organizations. Most other organizations, you do not see the city manager attending, but upon a request for a particular agenda item. And I realize that's, it's kind of shaped differently here. I would like to be able to, keep as much as I can the same way for just managing expectations. But I also have some very real limitations that are important to address. So this is where we are.
Yeah, the
All
Public
right.
Safety Commission first formed, we did not have a city manager attend our meetings. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not,
It's not common to have
yeah,
the manager at every meeting.
right.
We do have questions sometimes, and it's nice to have the manager there, but they can be addressed.
Right. Well, and likewise, if you're aware that there's something in particular, then, we can figure out how to do that. But it's really different than, being here for, 3, 4 hours. And
Okay. So would someone like to step up to be secretary? I'm looking at Ted because I know you do a good job at the Grange.
Yeah, and precisely because I am the Grange secretary that I would beg off from that, so I don't have two secretary jobs under my hat. I'd like to
okay.
just keep the one that I currently do. If I do resign from that secretary job, I'd happily shift over and do this board as well, but
Yeah.
until then.
There's also a template that's sometimes easy for secretaries to be able to have minutes where it shows the motions, the seconds, and the vote. That could make it easier. I think we use that in the Chamber of Commerce with our meetings there. Any other commissioners want to step up?
My volunteer hours are maxed out.
English major Alex Ricca?
I'm not going to step up for this. No.
What if it was just for this evening?
Pardon?
What if it was just for tonight? Not, not
I
permanent.
prefer not. I prefer not.
Okay. Mr. Shane?
I guess I can. I need to get a pen, but yeah.
Thank you. You're gonna
Here,
get a
got
bunch of
one.
pens thrown
I
at
know.
you now.
Right here.
He loans
And maybe
one.
you need paper as well.
Yeah,
Here
I'll
it
need
comes.
paper to make
All
sure
right.
that
So
when I get
it
here.
looks like this is an action item. Possible action. So would we like to appoint Donald Shang as our secretary by motion, commissioners?
I so move.
I'll do it for tonight, but
Okay, you just want to do it for tonight.
just tonight.
All right, let's leave it at that for just tonight.
Second,
Okay,
tonight.
there's a motion and a second. Before I take the vote, I am going to ask if there's any public input on this. Seeing none. Oh, this is about the
so
secretary.
the recording, Justin's recording would not serve, okay, I'm sorry. Would Justin's recording not serve, when there isn't someone able to take minutes?
No, we'll always have to have a secretary. We'll just have to choose a different one on a different night.
And if you get no one to volunteer because, you know, they're overwhelmed with volunteer hours, I think there should be a plan if you're not able to have someone other than tonight do
I
that.
agree. But
Yeah.
for tonight, we're going to leave it at this and we're going to see. Possibly at the next meeting, someone else
And
will
then
step forward.
how will you solve that problem?
We will choose someone at the next
Each
meeting.
meeting.
We will have to until someone steps up permanently.
And you yourself, you're a minute taker.
I
it's
take
obvious.
notes. They're not
Yeah.
really minutes, but I
Right.
take notes. Well,
Yeah.
the chair typically isn't the secretary, but if necessary, I may end up being
Okay,
the
good to
secretary.
know.
We'll see what
Thank you.
happens. You're welcome. All right. So there was a motion by Lynn Glenn, or by Ted Hale, seconded by Lynn Glenn. Any further discussion from commissioners? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Congratulations. Donald Shang is our secretary for this evening. All right, we're going to move on then. We did move item 9 up to under item 4. So we have agency and program check-in. Humboldt County Sheriff. Do we have a check-in for the sheriff?
So we don't have a check-in per se. I did receive today, and I did not make copies of this for, I'll explain it in a moment, because this is the first time I've ever seen this. And what I've learned is that this is just for a period of a week. So I kind of felt like if I'm going to get you something, it would be good to probably have it for a month because you'll meet on a monthly basis. So it appears that they do prepare and submit to the city an incident kind of report form,
Right,
which is
we've been
here.
getting those typically with our
Um,
packets.
Danny wasn't sure what to do with them, so they're all just sitting in an email box right now. So I need to go through and pull them out. I'm going to actually just ask the sheriff's department to consolidate them off the last few months, and I'll put together a short little summary so that we can give it to you guys so that you can receive those. I don't know if these also go to city council. I believe that this would probably be all right to circulate, but I want to just double check. I don't think there's anything in here which is, personal in nature or identifying,
Right.
but I just
No.
wasn't certain. And so it's, you'll find I have a tendency to err on the side of caution when it comes to those kinds of things. So the good news is I do have this, and I have already reached out to Billy's office. I've not heard back from him yet, which means he'll probably get a phone call from me on my cell phone, and I know he'll answer it then.
Mhm.
But I want to arrange so that they can have somebody come into the meeting and try to get a sense of what is happening or not happening. I'm a little surprised to hear that they haven't had a presence here, but we'll find out why. I can ask. And
Yeah,
go
it's
from there.
usually items specific for a presence, and or they also were either supplying or providing access to an incident map
Okay.
that actually corresponded with that list. So it makes
Interesting.
it more, you know,
Meaningful.
makes more sense. You don't have to go through and go, where the heck is this? And where the heck is that? And where's this? And
Yeah,
where's that?
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and you can actually just kind of look at a snapshot.
Okay.
I think we were getting those incident lists when we first when the commission reformed, when it first reformed after the election and the appointments, and then she added a map, and she said it was available from the sheriff's department, and I'm not certain if she was grabbing it from their data and then doing her own, or if they were actually supplying it. That's the
Okay.
only thing I do not know about that.
Yeah, that would be a lot more meaningful because you could find patterns.
Exactly. And I had asked for something like that. I think the first meeting when I looked at the list, I was like, this is great, but it'd be nice to have an incident map. And I asked if the city kept a tracking map, and she said they didn't. but the
Right.
sheriffs do.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it would require some GIS.
yeah.
And
And then it's,
typically, unless the council asked specifically for those incidents reports, we didn't get them. They came to the public safety unless there was some issue that
okay.
the council wanted them for.
Yeah, so I will follow up and I'll have something that I can share certainly with the chair in time for your next meeting.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Any other Humboldt County Sheriff report? No. Okay. We'll move on then to the Blue Lake Fire. Anybody here from the fire department that would like to report on what's going on with that? Okay,
Is
I
that-
guess not.
Are they also regular attendance or no?
No, they usually don't. When Mandy Mager was the manager, she is also part of the fire department, so she was able to fill us in on some of the issues that occurred with the department, but we don't have a regular person now.
How many months has it been since they've,
Checked in with us?
yeah,
Well,
I've never seen them.
since we started.
2 or 3 times in the last year.
Well, since we got on the commission, we haven't seen anybody from the fire department except
okay.
for when Mandy Mager would give us reports.
And it's the same thing for the sheriff about this?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
except for the incident reports, yeah. So let's move on then to 9C, Blue Lake Rancheria Office of Emergency Services. Now we do have someone from the Rancheria. Thank you for being here. I would ask that you, two, very good. I'd ask that you identify yourselves and welcome.
Thank you for having us. So my name's Andrew Bogar. I want to say I'm the emergency manager for Blue Lake Rancheria, newly minted. So I've only been there for a short period of time. Prior to that, I was the outreach coordinator. I want to say thank you for inviting us. Sharing close borders means we'll ultimately end up sharing emergencies and disasters. So working together collaboratively now, hopefully will save us or help us in the future. And I'm looking forward to that partnership. So thank you. Um, One of my primary responsibilities is also supporting the RTIC, which is the Resiliency Training and Innovation Center. It's essentially the mechanism and the organization that we've created to bring training to Northern California. The first, and I think the most important thing I wanted to invite representatives from, if you have the bandwidth, I understand that everyone's volunteering everywhere, but is a flooding tabletop exercise where we will talk through our response, what we might do on the rancheria, how we can prepare for that. Remembering, sorry, it's been a long day for myself. Remembering the last incident that we went through involving flooding. I'd like to strengthen the communication relationship between the two communities because the flooding that affected us also affected you all. And I think there's some room for improvement there that I think I can own, would like to work towards. Next, we have training that's coming up. For those who feel it would be appropriate, I'd like to invite you to it. We'll be hosting the incident command. So the incident command system, for those who are familiar with it, it is the official playbook that all professional responders use in an emergency. This will be free and open to the public for those who would like it, but it'll be ICS 400, and that will be hosted on the 20th to the 21st of August, and then again at 10 to the 11th of December. One of the classes I'm very passionate about is coming up in September. September 19 and 21 will be CERT, which stands for Community Emergency Response Team. This training is training really focused on the public and addresses the initial actions you can take to prepare yourself and then respond at a local level, at an appropriate level, to emergencies. The next one after that is going to be.
Could you repeat that date?
I apologize. Yep, September.
Oh, actually, I'm
no.
going to hold you right there. Do you have some other dates you need to
No.
confirm for your
No,
notes?
no.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's going to be September 19th and
19th.
21st. And I do want to be transparent. There's only about 5 seats left in that training. If we do go over, I'll have to talk to the educators and trainers to see if we can bring in more trainers to facilitate more. And at that point, the only limitation would be the size of the space that we're training in. So
Andrew, that's a Friday and a Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a
Okay,
24-hour
the 20th
course.
also.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
is. It is a intensive training.
I
I
see.
do want to acknowledge that for citizens, but it takes everyone through basic preparedness.
To the
It
21st.
introduces to the purpose of CERT, where you fit into an overall response. Uh, then it covers individual medical skills. So think like basic first aid, that also then scales into MCIs or mass casualty incidents. So how do you make the hard choices if there's lots of people hurt? It covers fire and utilities. So if anyone needs to know how to turn off your utilities, say after an earthquake, it covers that. But also, and this is the ones that's really one of the ones that are important for me, is how to use a fire extinguisher. We just got done doing this training for teens across Humboldt County, and how many teenagers have never had to use a fire extinguisher. Uh, a fire is the last time we want them exposed, so that we would like them to be trained before they actually are confronted with that. The same goes for adults as well. It also covers some light search and rescue and some other stuff as well. But the last day on Sunday is actually a skills day where you put all of the things that you've learned together into practice, to cement what you've learned, but also then to work together as a team with those that also took the training with you. So I do acknowledge that it's a lot to ask for 3 days, but the training is a lot, and it really does pay dividends when your community is affected by a disaster. Um, the next course after that is flood fight training. So sandbagging, barriers, how to protect infrastructure from flooding. That'll be on October 9th. And then the last one is ICS 300. It's the prerequisite for the 400. That'll be on November 3rd and 5th. All this information can be found on the RTIC's website. The best way I've found to describe it is by just Googling Blue Lake Rancheria, RTIC, and it should take you right to that webpage. And you should be able to find those classes and sign up for them for as long as there's vacancy.
Do you
Uh,
have any flyers that you
uh,
would like to have posted?
Not at this time, but I would be glad to start bringing them and having them
That would
posted in
be
public places and
fantastic.
have
Yeah.
them to be shared. I do know my partner though does have a flyer, so I will
Okay.
then give the floor to you.
Andrew, quick question.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
is your flood response tabletop?
That will be on August the 22nd at the same classroom over at the government building. Thank you for calling me on that.
Is that open still, or is that?
That is open, and if for those who are in the position to make plans for your community, if there could be some representation, I would appreciate it. But I understand if you can't, I'd be happy to share the lessons learned from that event in case no one can make it. And I understand. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions of Andrew?
Sorry, should have waited.
Okay. Uh, anyone from the public?
So those are open to anybody.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure we have some community members that might like them.
The tabletop exercise, we probably should keep it limited to individuals that might represent the fire department, individuals from the council, because there is limited space, and for the general public, you might not find it as engaging as some of the other training. I would welcome the participation, but I do just in full transparency, you might find a little bored as we just talk about what the processes are between the two jurisdictions and how we can help each other out.
We have a CERT as well.
Mhm.
Lynn Glenn is one of the members, longtime members. I think Donald, are you part of the CERT? Okay. Anyway, so this is the Rancheria CERT team. Have you dovetailed with the group in Blue Lake? How's that working?
So the team we're kind of in a rebuilding period
Oh.
throughout COVID and coming back on the back end of COVID.
Oh.
We're doing some recruiting and we need to start our training.
Oh.
This training specifically is done through through a Listos grant through Pilo ES. And it
Okay.
is intentionally meant for the entire public. We're doing it in partnership with Humboldt CERT Coalition.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I guess there's no other questions. Thank you again, Andrew, for coming out tonight.
Kuya Wanashua Nek now Isaac Kinney. Wage
Isaac.
Poos Mat Wamacha. It's a Wage Poos. It's a Eureka. So my name is Isaac. I'm the transportation coordinator here with Blue Lake Rancheria. I started with the Rancheria last year in the education department based out of Hoopa High School. However, I got into Cal Poly Humboldt. And so in my graduate studies, I'm also being able to take on and shift to transportation. Transportation program is under the Office of Emergency Services. So making sure that preparedness is a part of our transportation planning is a big priority of ours. Um, I'm a planner by trade. I work for another tribe in the planning, transportation planning specifically. So I'm engaging and working with HCOG as well as the Northern California Tribal Transportation Commission. We always have a lot of good, exciting things happening around project delivery, construction, as well as long-term planning. Um, the big key points that I had really wanted to talk about today is in that coordination with the local planning agency, HCOG. We're working on some different planning documents. And with those planning documents, we're really focusing on intermodal as well as the bike and pedestrian safety, especially facilities here around sidewalks, street crossings, and bus shelters. So, kind of to give you a little bit of foreshadowing, I'm really looking at 5 different plans. This will be a circulation plan, so that's traffic circulation. We also have a wayfinding signage plan, a bicycle pedestrian plan that's within our intermodal transportation plan, and the emergency preparedness and transportation plan. So these 5 plans are going to be really what we're basing a lot of our construction, going after construction funding, capital funding, and as well as collaborations and partnerships. So right now we're working with Caltrans on a heavy equipment operator academy. They've been doing the classroom aspect, and soon they'll be coming out to the land lab. So they'll be working on the rancheria, teaching these 15 operators in training how to use heavy equipment, how to set a concrete slab, things like sidewalk. And so, what we're wanting to do is really elevate our technical expertise to be able to manage something like an Annie and Mary Trail from here to Arcata. So, again, there has been some funding pursuit from the tribe, from Caltrans, for this section of trail between Arcata and Blue Lake. We're looking forward to collaborating more and finding different funding to help support this bigger regional plan. And so, the other aspects with those planning documents, what we're really kicking off is a traffic safety workshop, August 19th from 3 to 5 here at the Rancheria. I do have 5 flyers, but I do have they have QR codes. Um, I gotta apologize. I did print out the draft version, so it says draft on there. All of the information is going to be the same, and the QR code is live, but it just says draft. Um, None of the information is changing, so I just wanted to confirm that it was my mistake.
Thank you, Andrew.
And yeah, I have the HCOG
Email it to me.
NCTTC coordination, the planning document. So planning that way we really have a idea of scoping, community outreach, and really solidifying that collaboration formally. And then that brings us kind of more narrow to this specific August 19th workshop. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, but thank you for your time.
Isaac, I didn't catch your last name. Could
Uh,
you repeat that again?
Isaac Kinney, Kinney.
Oh boy, I did catch it. I crossed it out, but I actually had it. And then the other question I had was the Powers Creek Community Room. Oh, the Tribal Justice Center. Is that the building to
Just
the
behind
left
the,
of the
yes,
gas station?
correct. Just
Okay.
behind the C
Oh, I
store.
haven't been in
It's a
that.
tall building, has
Yeah.
some basket designs on it. So
Okay.
that's our Tribal Justice Center.
Okay, good.
Within that, our conference room is the Powers Creek Conference Room. Powers Creek being right
That's the
here.
blue one, right?
Correct,
Blue
yes.
building.
Okay. I haven't been in
Yeah.
that building, so
Oh,
I'm
welcome.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
encouraged
right on.
to see it. Okay.
I have a question. What is inter or intramodal?
So again, from a tribal perspective, the creeks and the rivers are original transportation corridors. So making sure the waterways are a big part of our planning for intermodal transportation, as well as bike and pedestrian vehicle. And then here at the C-store, we have also freight movement that also comes into the gas station that also needs to have that plan of a circulation plan to what is included. So that includes kind of all aspects of signage, um, things like that. So intermodal is trying to be as not sell ourselves too short of saying, oh, we're just roads, we're just transit.
Yeah.
It's kind of a more of a fluid type aspect. And so you see that with the Indian Reservation Roads program, go to the Tribal Transportation program to include things like working on bridges and project different uh, project delivery.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from public? Mr. Sawatsky?
I wish to thank you guys for the report and for being here tonight. It's a chance that we haven't had in a long time to move forward with projects in partnership with our neighbors. And very good news to see that you guys are working on the Annie and Mary Trail, because the snooze comes from you folks. I'm quite honest with you. You're in a position where you can do things that a lot of us small communities cannot do. And that partnership we look forward to benefiting from. Steve Madrone and I were discussing a project that's part of this. It's a safe way for people to also go on Glendale Road. And it's a project that Steve and I have been talking about for a while. Madrone 5th District Supervisor, that's his district, where that actually just the side of the road would be cleared up and improved a little bit with Measure O money or something like that, whatever grant money we could get. And I live on that road, and it is very unsafe. I mean, right now the brush maintenance hasn't been done, so you got very blinded. People are jumping off of the brush. 2 cars went off on the turnout right by my house within the last 2 months. So that partnership will be, I think, a really wonderful thing to work with you guys, and I am appreciating. The flood maintenance has been something I worked on for a long time. As you're aware, and I'm aware, that there really is not much of a levee protecting the rancheria down there. And hopefully the whole levee can get some attention because it's not certified, it's not built right. So all these partnerships, look forward to working with you guys on, and these are all major safety issues, and I appreciate being here tonight. Thank you.
There's also a Powers Creek Watershed Commission that's just starting in town. I don't know if you've been contacted. Katrina, I'm not sure Katrina's last name, but she presented at the last council meeting about that, the last regular council meeting. Okay, any other questions or comments for commissioners?
I just basically want to say hello and welcome. My name is Elise Cafani. I am the Mayor Pro Tem on the council, and I'm really grateful for your presence. And I welcome and thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? We will move on then to item 9D, Red Cross. And this is another area which we have not had.
So who was your
Any-
point of contact for the Red Cross?
Andrew? Yeah. Used to be? Andrew, you used to be.
So this is going to be really awkward.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Andrew.
You're
I'm
gonna
the
wear another hat.
previous disaster program manager for the Red Cross. There has been someone hired. I do know who she is. Her name is Janine Hess. I believe I pronounced her last name correct. She is really new to that position. So now that I know she's settled, I would be more than happy to reach out and see if I can connect with her, and ensure that she knows that she has she has an open invitation to attend.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
I would absolutely do that.
Janine, HESS?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, is it necessary that they be on the agenda every month, or is this something that might be more suited for a quarterly report? Maybe you would see higher participation from folks.
Well, I think it's on there because at some points we would need to have a report.
Mhm.
So that's why I think it kept,
I think a
kept skipping.
quarterly span would be quite adequate.
And in full transparency, she covers Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity
Yeah,
counties as her
Oh.
jurisdiction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So that
that's
is
a
a
lot.
very broad swath, and she is in the middle of fire season.
right.
Mm.
So she probably feels like a long-tailed cat in a, room full of rocking chairs.
And that is the reason that, I bring up, if people are feeling like they can't come, then they just start letting them slide. So maybe, having them rotate on a quarterly basis, so you'd have somebody, and then you'd be able to give a more detailed presentation about things that are going on.
Yeah, good idea,
Something to think
especially
about.
since there's 4 of them. So that would work nicely.
Yeah.
And this may be out of turn, but there's another organization I would.
Yeah,
Sorry, so it's
microphone.
recorded. It may be out of turn, so I apologize if that's the case, but there's another broader organization I'd recommend reaching out to, and that's the Humboldt COAD, which stands for Community Organizations Active in
Oh,
Disaster.
right.
The COAD is the coalition of nonprofits throughout the entire county. They led the Rio Del Recovery Group
Right.
during a post earthquake,
Wow.
and they've kept together, and it's comprised of all the various community organizations, faith-based organizations, and then ourselves. There's a tribal working group, and so the idea is before the next disaster happens, we're not exchanging business cards at the disaster. We
Mm.
have a working relationship with everyone. Nick Brown Crawford is the leader for that organization,
Yeah, I know him.
and he's incredibly busy.
Yeah.
But him or a designee, I think, could be on a rotational basis, could be invited to speak to different organizations that do serve the community before, during, and after disasters. Everything from pet preparedness to individuals with functional accessible needs. It's a very broad spectrum of what they're called to work on. And that might be a rotational basis. That way, you know what services are available to your community in case of an emergency.
And tell me again, community organization, what is the ACE?
Active in disaster.
Active in disaster? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. These acronyms get a little
Emergency
crazy
management is just
sometimes.
alphabet soup.
Well, I come from education and we're the
Government.
same
Even
way. So,
worse.
but government, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Government.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thanks for all that information. It's really good information to have. All right. Are there any other questions or comments on this item?
Before you head to your next one, do you
You
guys
are
have a
leaving.
key to lock up?
Justin does.
I'm sorry?
Justin has a key.
Justin has a key and Justin is not here. Okay, I just wanted to make
Just a
sure,
moment.
so if I leave, the building can still get locked, right? Otherwise, I do have a key that I would have given to somebody to give me.
Well, yeah, we have done that, and then we've put the key in the night
Yeah,
drop of the
perfect.
city hall, but I
Thank you all.
think
It was
we're
nice to
covered.
meet you, and I'm sorry that I, kind of had to do it this way, but
Understandable.
Thank you.
and look forward to getting things from you guys. See you in Monday.
All right, thanks,
reg-
Jill.
Regarding this,
Thank you guys.
this item, so this was usually the
Bye-bye.
people in our community that we work
Which,
with.
which item are we talking about
Item
now?
9,
Item 9,
we-
which?
we're
We have
discussing.
9. We have,
Agency and program check-in item.
oh, agency and program. Okay, yeah.
So, like, I think the fire department is part of our community and the sheriff was part of our community or is part of our community. So attending monthly was kind of a check-in liaison kind of thing. I can see where Red Cross and the Blue Lake Rancheria was a neighbor, certainly. But I think maybe they might be 2 different categories. Maybe it's worth reaching out, I guess, to the local folks, the sheriff, Blue Lake Fire, and
Here for it.
OES, Rancheria OES, and see how they feel. If they'd rather come on a quarterly basis or they want
Uh,
to come every month, or what do you think as a person from OES, our neighbor?
I don't know if we're producing enough information to make a report worth your time. And I know brevity is probably important with all the different responsibilities you have across the community. There may be some informal ways of communicating with the community we can keep open more frequently. But I would always, I would be willing to come back and participate as we have, things that are pertinent, or if you had questions or something we can help with. But monthly does seem to be like a heavy ask for a lot of the nonprofits, and a lot of the faith-based organizations, even ourselves. So I would welcome a quarterly, that, but I don't want anyone to feel like, the doors are closed and we wouldn't have a mechanism to still communicate outside of that.
Right. Yeah, I viewed it as an as needed basis was when we had check-ins from them, like when we were talking about the sheriff, the contract and that kind of thing. But I'd be open to a quarterly thing. That makes a lot of sense, and we can reach out to figure out what quarters they're going to be attending.
And if everybody took a turn, you could have somebody at each meeting.
Right. If there's 4, there happens to be 4, so that would work. Okay, we will move on. If there's no further
So
comments.
should we talk about doing that, changing that to
Uh-huh.
format and
Do you
doing it
want to
quarterly?
have that as a future agenda item? Or do you want to
Yeah.
make the decision this evening? I'm not
um,
sure that it is actually an action item for tonight.
Right. Yeah, let's make it a future agenda item.
Okay.
And I like moving it up to the beginning of the meeting so that makes it a little bit less onerous for.
Yeah, for people to come. Yeah.
And that actually makes sense to
Mhm.
have your regular emergency services give their briefing and be available to ask questions right up front.
Mhm.
And then move on to specific items that are, that we've added for whatever specific reason.
Yeah. It's a good thing to do with guest speakers. Okay, so we'll have that as a future agenda item. We'll have that as an action item in the future. Sounds like a good plan. Right, we're moving then back to the safety fair, Saturday, September 20th, discussion and possible action. A date has been set. Like all dates in Humboldt County in the summer and in the good weather days, there's something else that's always going on at the same time. Unfortunately, that is the same weekend as the North Country Fair. However, our public safety meeting or our fair is going to be from 10 to 2. So, and the North Country Fair is 2 days. So perhaps that will encourage people to come to both. Lynn and I met with Molly Homan, who is the Resource Center Activity Director. And she actually ran this for many years, I guess. At least last year she did, yeah.
Mhm.
And she had AmeriCorps workers at the time that she could count on to work the day of the fair, but they have not, they're no longer with us because of the cuts nationally that have been made. So it kind of falls on us. Now, the good part is that Molly had the contact people for all of the participants of the fair from last year, and she was willing to reach out and call all those participants and tell them the date and the times, and we could definitely have them there. She will not be able to be there that day because it is a weekend and she's prevented from doing that. So Lynn and I met with Molly about 2 weeks ago. We have 2 more meetings scheduled to plan for things. Last year, the fire department had free hot dogs, and it was difficult because they were ferreting hot dogs back and forth to the park. They ran out of hot dogs. So what we thought of instead was to have either food trucks be available for food, or I also reached out to the doghouse to see if Darcy would be available for being open during that time, 10 to 2. She hasn't gotten back to me yet. She was pretty busy yesterday. So those are some ideas, maybe another food truck and maybe a dessert truck or something like that for the food issue. Lynn, you want to add anything else that I've forgotten? We have
Yeah.
little flyers here. We'll have larger ones closer to the fair.
Yeah, this is not on the flyer yet. So Molly put these together, and I'll pass these out to the public. Because we had the Annie and Mary Day yesterday, and we wanted to have some promotional information at a dessert table. So there also will be a touch-a truck as part of this fair, which was pretty popular last year. The helicopter was here, and there were a lot of the fire department was here, and so that's going to be part of this. And I'm focusing on volunteers because since the AmeriCorps program was canceled, as Adeline said, we have to supply all the volunteers. So I've been to the Crows, I've been to the CERT, and I'm going to pass this around to you guys. Hopefully some public safety commissioners can volunteer also. And Molly and Adeline and I are going to meet and set up a schedule. The volunteers are needed at the beginning and the end of the fair, so to help people bring agencies bring things from their cars to their tables, help them set up tables. And then during the fair, there will be a welcome table that need volunteers, and then they need somebody to kind of walk around and check and make sure everything is fine. If people need any help. So thank you for that. So we're soliciting volunteers for that, and I think that will work well. Otherwise, this is also the same weekend as the CERT training.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was another reason why I asked you, because I
Yeah.
thought it was the 2 days and that day in the middle wasn't included. It
Right.
wasn't. Okay.
Right. So yeah, there is a competition, but it is not very long, and people can come and go as they wish. So yeah, it was really, really popular last year. We've been talking about this, and I think it will be again this year. So if you want to volunteer, anyone in the audience, you're welcome to do that too.
Apologize, I won't be in town.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, last year was very
I can help
successful.
hand out pamphlets the week before, but
Uh-huh.
I'll be leaving like the Friday.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll pass this around to people in the audience if they'd
Okay.
like to.
Does anyone have any questions about it?
I'll be in the meeting.
Yeah, he'll be at his
Yeah,
training.
maybe we'll be busy.
Yeah, last year we had a very successful fair. We had the CAL FIRE helicopters here, and we had a small fire on the hillside, which some people thought was staged or something, and it wasn't. And so, minus that occurrence, we hope to have another really successful safety fair. And it's an excellent way to get information out to people, and it's fun too. So, it's a good thing. Are there any questions that the commissioners have about anything? Okay. Anything from audience on this item? All righty. So we have that set up. And we're going to move on to item 6, follow-up to Annie and Mary Day discussion. I'm looking at this more from a safety perspective because, we can talk about how fun it was and that, but I know you were out helping with the traffic with the parade, yeah, and most of us attended. So if there's any issues that may have come up, just viewing from, like I said, a safety perspective, feel free to
A couple
join
comments.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so CERT had a table at the Annie and Mary Day, as we always do, and we also provide traffic management during the parade. So during the parade went really well. We did our radio practice Friday before and found some glitches and fixed them, and so it went pretty smoothly this year. One issue was that there is parking on the very narrow part of South Railroad, right down here. And the parade comes on that part of the street. So that's a little bit of an issue. And I talked briefly to Glenn and said, maybe next year we can mark that no parking during the parade. So that would be helpful. The other thing was something Justin and I and all have been talking about, which is first aid. Because last year we had a first aid incident and there was some confusion as to where someone should go. So this year it became very clear. We talked to the fire department and they said, we're here, we do first aid, the truck's right there. So as long as everybody knows that that's what the plan is, I think that's fine. We now have first aid at the Annie and Mary Day, and we started communicating. I forgot to tell one of my volunteers at the CERT table, but luckily the other volunteer did know. And then also next year, the chamber is going to be doing a banner to put on the snack shack. so people can see where to go for first aid. So I think that's really good. Those are the issues I think that we had for Annie and Mary for safety.
Okay, thank you. Since you were
Oh, sorry, one more issue.
firsthand. Oh, okay, yeah.
So one issue, when we were trained by Scope, the Sheriff Citizens on Patrol, the Scope leader said, when you do traffic management, always get the cell phone number of the sheriff who's on duty. Because if there's an issue with a car that's endangering people and you need to contact them right away, then you need to have that information quickly. And the last couple of years, I've tried to get a number like that, but it's always, the answer has been that there is nobody assigned to Blue Lake on Annie and Mary Day. So I think the answer, well, I asked City Hall, and the answer was call 911. So that's what I told all of the CERT people on, and then we've never had an issue. So this has never come up in the, I don't know, 8 years we've been doing this. But that's just something to bring up in terms of our relationship with the sheriff. It just seemed like it would be good to have somebody for a day like that, because that's kind of a time when lots of people are in town, lots of traffic, unusual circumstances. But that did come up for us.
Okay, good. Any other comments from commissioners concerning safety on Annie and Mary Day? Any public input about that? Kent Sawatsky and then Elise Scafani.
It was brought to my attention, definitely a safety issue, that the horses and equestrian people were staging over in the Gymkhana rather than staging over by the skate park or somewhere where they could be in line. So in other words, they had to go across a pedestrian bridge with their horses. One, Mr. Doss, who had his Clydesdales here, and the wagon, of course, couldn't cross the bridge. So he had to go back around to try and get through and was precluded by the parade director from using a safe route to get to being part of the parade. He did participate, but those kind of faux pas should be eliminated. We have a wonderful space down there for a lot of staging and parking to happen. And I think that probably most likely will be a permanent place where that could happen. So I think maybe in the future we look at making sure next year we may have like 10 times as many horses involved. The parade was very small, quite easy to manage, I'm sure. But I could see with changes in politics and things, willingness to participate by next year could be quite a bit larger. So that's my recommendation is any equestrian thing staged, not at the Gymkhana. And they actually stage down that in the vacant lot besides the skate park.
Well, I was going to mention the same thing, just because the giant trailer that housed those giant horses and the big wagon that they pulled, um, Larry did try to go in to get unloaded at the beginning of the parade, and as he wasn't able to do that, he had to run the wagon from the Gymkhana grounds on the road before the parade started when there was no traffic control. He had to run them through down the road down to the beginning of the parade, and then afterwards, because he was not able to get back to where he started, he had to go a whole nother loop around the parade route to get back to the Gymkhana grounds again after the traffic direction had stopped. So that was definitely you know a potential safety issue. And of course, nothing happened. Everything went great. Everybody had a great time. But it would have been nice to be able to troubleshoot that ahead of time or on the spot kind of thing, so that wasn't the case.
So let me understand this. He couldn't get that stagecoach onto Taylor Way? Was that
He
the
tried
issue?
to drive with his trailer onto Taylor Way, and he was turned back. He wanted to unload his wagon and horses at the end of Taylor Way at the
Ah.
beginning of the parade,
Uh-huh.
so that he could unload and be ready at the beginning of the parade. But he was turned away from doing that, so he had to go back to the Gymkhana grounds, and then he had to hitch the wagon and drive the team all the way around and to the beginning of the parade. And then at the end of the parade, he had to go back all the way around Del Arte and through City Hall to get back to his trailer.
Hmm.
And all those trips happened without the benefit of traffic
Right.
control.
Do you know what the issue was? Why he wasn't able to unloaded
I believe
over on Taylor?
I believe he was turned away from driving down the road. I was told that the director of the parade turned him away.
Was there a safety issue, or do you know what the issue was?
I wasn't there at the time, so I
Okay.
couldn't speak to that rationale. I was just told that he was turned back when he tried to go down there.
Well, typically we put the horses in the back of the parade. And what they usually do is when we line them up, they go to the very, very end of Taylor Way. So I'm just not sure how that worked because there was a lot of cars and, old cars and that kind of thing that were lining up there. So maybe that was the problem.
Well, there weren't any old cars on Taylor Way at the time that he tried to come in. There was very little happening there.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you for the information. Any other questions or comments about Annie and Mary Day, again, from a safety perspective? Okay, I don't think so. Let's move on then to item 7, tsunami alert system discussion. This was put on the agenda because many of us did get the tsunami alert on our phones. And I had a talk with Lynn about that. And one thing mine said was that I should not go to the beach. It's requested that you don't go to the beach. So I felt that it was appropriate, even though we live far from the ocean. There's people like my son, for instance, who's a surfer. He would have gotten in his car and driven to the beach because he does that almost every morning. So I think from that perspective, it was a good alert. But I know that there are some glitches in what happened as far as Crescent City not being alerted in time or enough. And then some people in Blue Lake wondering why did we get the alert because we don't live in a tsunami zone, that kind of thing. But mine really specifically said we're warning you not to go to the beach. So I thought that seemed appropriate for anybody within
Well, we have
driving
no
distance.
control over that. That was the National Weather Service was the people that put out that warning that came across your phone. And
It just goes through the
wasn't
cell
Office
sites.
of Emergency
It just hits
Services. It wasn't
everybody.
the Sheriff's Department. It wasn't anybody else. It was the National Weather Service that actually drove that. And it was primarily just based on speculation because they really don't know what's going to happen with it.
Right.
And the alert that I saw when I went online, when I finally got it on the phone and I looked it up, the only alert they had for any kind of warning was actually for Crescent City only because of the way their bay is shaped and the way the water goes, slopes up and goes right into that bay, which is wound up doing. And so, yeah, what's to discuss? I mean,
Well, there are things to
we
discuss.
have
Yeah.
no control over that.
Right.
They're actually looking at the siren system they put in failed because it was put in 20 years ago and it hasn't been used or upkept or maintained. And so that's on the county, and that's on or local municipalities, Eureka or Arcata, if they have anything like that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, the sirens are difficult to maintain because of the salt water.
Mhm.
So they're pretty much, and the problem with sirens is people can't hear them from inside their houses. So
Yep.
we really can't rely on sirens. Everybody wants to know where the sirens are, but most places, not all places, don't use sirens anymore. So the notices come through the WIA system, like you were talking about, which you got on your phone. And don't go to the beach is an appropriate message for Blue Lake because we are not in the tsunami zone.
Right.
So, but people don't necessarily know that. So a number of things happened. I'm on the Rebel Coast Tsunami Work Group, and there's going to be a discussion week after next about how it went. But Lori Dangler had a whole article in the Times Standard yesterday about this, and the issues, and for us here in Blue Lake, the pods did some notification of pod members, which is why we like having pods because we have text threads and we can very easily have the pod coordinator text 14 families right away with information on what's going on. So I texted the pods that we were not in the tsunami zone to remind people because people forget, as I said. And then also there were different warnings that the Weather Service put out, and people usually don't know what those levels are.
Right. That was mentioned in
Yes.
her article, which was very good.
It was, but
Yeah.
of course everyone's not going to remember that. But
There's 4 levels, and people don't know
Right.
what
There's
each level indicates. Yeah.
there's warning, advisory, watch, and information statement. So so the main idea for people to be is aware of not going into the tsunami zone. And then maybe their workplace is in the tsunami zone. Maybe their child's school is in the tsunami zone, even though we in Blue Lake are not. There was another problem, like I understand, because I talked to an employee from the casino at the Annie Mary Day yesterday, and she said the parking lot was jammed full of people at the gas station, and they
Oh.
were gassing up on their way to Willow Creek, thinking that's where they had to go to get out of the tsunami.
Mm.
And this happens pretty regularly, apparently. And I heard that it also happened in another gas station in Arcata, I think.
Mm.
There's a lot of confusion. People don't really understand if they're in the tsunami zone or not, and how to get out of the tsunami zone, which is very easy to do.
Or even if they're really supposed to evacuate,
yes,
because that's part of the problem too,
yes,
was the fact that there was no evacuation orders put out, but the warning came,
right.
and so everybody freaked out.
Yeah, because there's a lot of confusion as to what does it mean, and what does it mean for me particularly.
Mhm.
The other problem was that I guess on Nextdoor they showed a map from the Weather Channel, and the map showed Blue Lake being in the tsunami zone. And then this map shows that Blue Lake is not in the tsunami zone because we're not. So Lori Dengler explained that, and she said the Weather Channel uses National Weather Service maps, and they have one map for weather disasters, and they don't specify, which they don't change maps for different disasters, even though they have offered them countless times. The California tsunami maps, so they will be more specific and not confuse people. That hasn't happened. So those are the issues that came up for Blue Lake. And there'll be some discussions about the need for public education. The other thing is we have 2 different warning centers that issue alerts and that kind of thing. Only one for California. So I guess and the other thing was that, for instance, the WIA alert about stay off the beach came out, which is very appropriate. But also Humboldt Alert sent messages out. That's the sheriff's office. But everyone didn't get them consistently. So for instance, at my house, my husband got them and I didn't. And it happened at other people's houses too. So there's going to be some discussions as to why the messages didn't go out consistently. So those are the issues that came up for us.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a lot of good information. Thanks.
Possibly at the Red Coast Tsunami Work Group meeting, there'll be some information to share next meeting.
Mm-hmm. We can bring this back if you want to report out.
Yeah,
Future agenda meeting or a future agenda item. Thank you, Lynn. Any other questions or comments from commissioners before I open it up? Any comment or question from the public? Ken Sawatsky?
Well, I think in this day and age, the message needs to go to everybody on every cell phone. Because if you're from Willow Creek, but you happen to be at the beach that day and you have your cell phone, I mean, I got it both cell phone and landline, but just because we're quote unquote not in the tsunami zone, I don't believe that for a second. If you watch any of the movies these days, you could be on Mount Olympus when that happens. It'll take you out. So if you believe the movies, but it's the earthquakes are an interesting thing. When they have an earthquake in any area, like Russia or something, we frequently have echo earthquakes or whatever. The world is moving and shifting. If we get a big one there, it's probably a precursor, and it totally makes sense, in my opinion, for anybody during any kind of national disaster to make sure they have a full tank of gas, whether affected or not, because when we have major things, we lose our ability to get gas into the area. And so anytime there's something like that, I strongly suggest that, or if you hear it's coming and we get a warning, yeah, get in line and give the rancheria some money down there. They need that gas. No, but seriously, it's common sense that you have gas on hand. I used to keep 50 gallons around and keep it fresh all the time, just in case there was something of that nature, to run generators for people around. We're so fortunate they have generators in the gas station. So whatever large supply they have for gas, they'll probably ration more to people from Blue Lake. You might just shut the gate off. Why not? So anyway, it's just a real good asset to have a gas station here. So I highly recommend that you do keep gas in there. I've always said run on the top half of your tank rather than the bottom half if you have the chance, and that enables us to do well during these kind of situations. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Yes, everyone should keep their gas tank half full. I always do too.
That sounds like something my dad used to tell me. Andrew, did you want to make some remarks about this
Yeah, if
issue?
you want, I can share the perspective from that night's events from Blue Lake Rancheria.
Thank you.
From about once the alarm went off, the one that really came from NOAA, we had about 20 minutes before we noticed a huge uptick in traffic. One of our primary concerns is keeping the roundabout and 299 clear of vehicular traffic and bringing people onto the Rancheria as seamlessly and as safe as possible. So we actually deviated our standard traffic pattern to actually facilitate bringing more people onto the Rancheria. As individuals came in, we did ask them if they were just coming to get gas or were they evacuating. Those who were evacuating, we actually did see around 50 vehicles, individuals and families, actually chose to stay in what we refer to as our employee parking lot. It's our back parking lot. Ultimately, we ended up 15 RVs and even some individuals who did some tent camping. Individuals who were recreating, I think is the word for it, along the coast. And oftentimes it's our tourist neighbors are the ones that aren't from the area and they just don't know where to go. And so we're glad that we're available. We're glad that we are known to be that place with we do have the gas station, we do have the microgrid, and we are available to help. But I think it would serve us well to, when incidents like that happen, is have a point of contact to reach out and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. What are you all seeing? What are those needs? And in the future, I think there's some opportunities to work on that communication during an emergency, assuming cell phones are working. But then we'll talk about ham radios later. So, thank you.
Thank you for giving us that input. Yeah, there was one other instance where there was a lot of people in the traffic circle and it was backed up all the way to 299. I can't remember what the,
Some of the initial power safety
Shut off. Yep.
Yeah.
shutoffs.
oh, maybe that was it, a
That was
power
just
Pretty
shut off.
crazy.
It was the first one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they shut it down and all the gas stations below didn't have generators, you guys got your generators, your gas pumps keep going. Everybody had to divert to Blue Lake to get their gas.
We make the realization that we know that there's a cultural remembrance of that event. And we just know that if there's an evacuation, we see a sharp uptick in visitors coming to fill their tanks up, which is sound guidance on having a
Yeah.
full gas tank. So
You have a tribal police department
we do.
at the Rancheria. How many officers do you have right now?
Currently, we have three full-time officers. Yeah, because Kyle, as our newest officer, just completed the training. He's actually working on FTO or field training in partnership with the Humboldt Sheriff's Office. So then we also have a number of reserve officers as well that when we really need it, we can plus up our numbers by putting them in uniform service.
You have security guards too, but
We-
that would
we
be
do
kind of
for the
crossover.
casino.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
real
is
good
this
head
is
of your security department there.
this is
Billy trained.
this is kind of deviating from the agenda item. It just was something that came up in my mind since you're here. But thank you for being here and answering these questions. Commissioners, any other comments about the tsunami warning issue? Okay, we may bring that back and get a report maybe from you if you would like to
Possibly.
give something from your meeting that you'll be going to. All right, we are now on item 8, I Street Survey, discussion and possible action. So I know there's some folks here from the I Street neighborhood, and we have looked at a survey. What is the
Right, I
status of
thought
that?
was the last thing was to send it to the council for their review. And
Okay.
so I don't know if that's happened or if we have any report back on that.
Yeah, not that I know of.
So I guess we're kind of hang fire on that till we get some information back from the council to pull the trigger on it and go forward.
Okay. So you would like that on the council agenda? Is it ready to go
Well, I
there?
thought we had given that to,
Danny?
was,
Danny Burkhardt.
yeah, Danny. that was
Okay.
supposed to happen. And so I don't
Okay.
know if it happened or not.
It didn't happen yet.
Okay.
A lot of transitions happening over there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to forward it to City Hall or do you want to send it
Sure. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can.
You have it on a
Yeah,
template?
I
You
can forward it to Jill. Yeah, I've got it on digits, of course,
Okay.
and so I can give Jill a backstory and of what the last month's meeting we voted to send to the council for consideration or approval,
Right.
but obviously it didn't happen, and so we'll see if we can make it happen for August for later on in the month.
Yeah. Um, had we done some changes or additions to it that were substantial, if anyone's
No.
recollection? Okay. Okay.
I think we just defined where we were going to distribute it, the
Okay.
survey and stuff, what streets and stuff.
Yeah, but
Right.
that doesn't need to be on the
No.
survey though. Yeah.
We were
No.
going to add some kind of instructions, so people understand what to do with it, right? And you did that already, or?
I did not. So
Okay.
we'll just go as we go.
Okay.
We'll have to figure out,
Yeah.
get the council's approval on it.
Do we want to
Um,
put if we were going to make those changes, it might be best to do that and then give it to the council as we want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
instructions as to how to respond to the
What we want them to
survey?
do, yeah.
Right.
And I think we also wanted a sort of a time limit to put on. And not knowing, when it's going before the council and when they're going to vote on it. We don't know the exact time, but we would like some kind of time frame too, so
Well,
that
once
this
we
thing
get an
doesn't drag
approval,
on.
then we can figure out when
Yeah.
we know when we're going to actually distribute it.
Yeah.
We can say, okay, we're going to distribute it on X date, 30 days from that date.
30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to get
Yeah, that's
a response
reasonable.
back.
One thing that I would like to see more of is that liaison process with the council, so that when you send something to them, there's somebody there to answer questions. And the council liaison is, I guess, the natural person. But what do you think, Elise, in terms of when you get something from the commission with asking for your input or your decision, how is it best to do that?
I think a lot of the council members would really like to hear from our commissioners at the council meetings.
Mhm.
So I know that there's a council liaison that goes to the commission meetings, but there's nobody from the commission that comes to the council.
Right.
So I think that if there's a topic that you want to discuss or want on our agenda, it would be a good idea to designate somebody to speak for the commission and to attend those meetings and communicate that with the council. And I think also there's been some discussion about looking at the way that we interface with commissions so that there's a better connectedness, back and forth, so that commissions have a more direct way to communicate with the council. I mean, the liaison does that work in a sense, but you could give me a message and it's like playing telephone and I can carry that message somewhere and it might not be exactly the message when I deliver it that you intended. And so if you're there, more dialogue can happen that's more reflective of where you're coming from and not
Yeah.
just how I perceived your message.
Well, I like for a regular communication and connection, I think liaison is good, but if there's a specific ask or specific
Mhm.
issue
Yeah.
between the two of us, I really like having somebody go, the most knowledgeable person,
Yeah.
who could be there with that item to answer questions and present it.
Yeah. Because the liaison is the eyes and ears for the council and they report to the council as to
Right.
what occurred at the meeting. But if there's going to be a specific agenda item like this survey, it
Mhm.
makes sense for
Yeah.
for one or as many of us to show up
Yeah.
and advocate for what is happening.
I do, but we should select a spokesperson, whether it's a chair
I
or
don't
the
mind doing
lead
it.
person on the issue.
Yeah.
But we should select a spokesperson to speak for the commission at that council meeting. And I do agree that it would be best if we had the five of us in attendance at that time. So it's a unified front, because this is basically a commission process that we're doing here. And so I would say either the chair or Ted should be the spokesperson for this issue before the council.
Sounds good. Okay, thank
You need
you.
a motion?
Uh,
What do you need?
Well, let me see if that's an action item.
Well, that
Yeah.
would
A
be,
possible action, yeah, it was.
okay.
Well, I would like to also open it up to the public at some point, but
Okay.
concerning the survey, yeah, this could be an action item that one or more of us, and you could specify that it's the chair um, or Ted Hales, either
So
would
lead-
probably be at
lead
the meeting,
person.
but
Yeah, well,
depends.
Tuesdays I'm usually busy. I teach a piping school
Oh, okay.
at the Grange
Oh,
on that evening, and usually starting. I have a student at 6, and then I have possibly a band we're prepping for a competition, then band at 7. But I would be more than happy to go over whoever the spokesman's going to be, and we'll just make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row as far as how our process and what we're proposing to do, and
Maybe in
and
terms of
There's another
establishing,
option there, Ted. How long are you tied up at the Grange on Tuesday evenings?
couple hours usually.
So if the council, which is known for their lengthy meetings, were to schedule the commission's presentation for a late council item, in all
But
likelihood,
yeah. If the
okay,
timing worked out, I would certainly be available.
okay,
It just all depends.
okay.
mm,
And what we can do is
Well,
just
yeah,
have somebody prepped if I can't be, if I'm not there, just have
yeah.
somebody prepped if it's
yeah,
on the
I
agenda.
I don't mind it. I mean, I would like to see the template, because
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've looked at it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
other than
I
that,
can email it to you,
yeah, I don't mind going. I've been going to
and
lots of
we'll
meetings.
add instructions as needed.
Yeah,
so maybe as a general process, we can establish that the chair be the person to take whatever recommendations we have to the council or their designee. And you could designate the most knowledgeable person if you wished um, to accompany the item.
yeah. If there's a specific agenda item on the council,
Mhm.
I'd be very happy to
Are
be the
you making
spokesperson.
that motion now, Lynn?
I'm not clear if we need to make a motion regarding the specific issue, like what we need to do with this, the I Street survey.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking about the general process.
Oh,
That
okay.
would be
Yeah.
another-
Yeah, well, that's true because the agenda item is not general. The agenda item is really specific to the I Street.
Yes.
So maybe,
So,
the motion can be that the
But-
chair will attend the meeting to present the survey or to
so you're ready
explain the
then,
survey.
Ted, to forward the changes on the survey to Jill and
Mhm.
ask her to put it on the agenda
Mhm.
for the next council meeting?
Yep.
Okay, so the motion would be, I move that Ted be authorized to send the current I Street survey to the city manager with the changes and request that it be put on the agenda for the city council meeting. However, I guess we also need this public input too. at some point.
But that's okay. Once as long as it happens before a vote, we're okay.
Okay.
So
Okay,
you've made a
I'll
motion.
second the motion at this point.
Okay, there's a motion made and a second. Is the secretary clear as to the motion?
I'm sorry.
Are you clear
Yes.
on the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Before we vote, I will open it up to the public. Is there any discussion on this item from public? Yeah, Ruben, hi.
I live on the corner of Third and I, and you guys been hashing this thing for about 2 years now. Traffic's kind of gone away. I don't think we got a real major problem out there, but some real simple solution. Keep it simple. Maybe like a little Measure Z sign like what we have out here is going to really address your problem out there. Um, I know going through I guess a neighborhood questionnaire might give us a little more direction, but we're making a big molehill, I'm big mountain here, because it's not as bad as what it used to be. And I just don't want your turnaround out there. That's going to mess things up. I don't prefer a stop sign. Just educate your people. You know, it's like the difference between a yield and a stop sign. People will learn sooner or later the speed limit, but you got to let them know there's no speed limit signs up there. The only signs are two signs that are covered up by a bunch of brush and haven't been cleaned for at least 30 years that I've been up there. You can't read them, and they say, please slow down for the top lot. Those are our only two signs on that street regarding speed limit, and I just ask you, put a speed limit sign up there is all.
What
People in
speed
Blue Lake ain't gonna be hauling butt on it
what
all the
speed
time.
limit do you think would be appropriate?
The law says 25 miles an hour in the city limits of most cities. I've
I'm
worked
all
on
for it.
transportation commissions with the county for years,
I'm all
and
for it.
25-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout the city, just like in Arcadia, you guys. And we won't have to go through a whole bunch of energy. And, you know, I mean, keep it simple. A stop sign. I mean, people are
Uh,
smart enough
yeah,
to read a sign and know what to do.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you
25
for your
miles an
time.
hour.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Thank
Keep
you.
it simple. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben. Mr. Sawatsky?
I support everything that he said. I think that's, again, part of the I Street problem is we do have a Redwood Route 1 area that's a hazard at the end. They keep bringing that up and never gets discussed. You might want to put that on a future agenda as far as having that dealt with in some way. Either signage saying there's a major obstruction in the road, because we do drive on the wrong side of the road so that we don't have to go over that giant thing. So that's something that you might have included sometime on your agenda. And Ruben's right. I noticed HCOG still has an agenda, and they were talking about big projects such as roundabouts and things. So we may still have an application for that before HCOG. And as far as safety items, I think that the Safety Commission should be directing some information as far as what HCOG would do. Like maybe you would think we should have safe routes to school rather than roundabouts everywhere. Or you should direct things and make requests, because that's where the money comes from. So I strongly suggest that you have a liaison or work with Kat, who is our liaison with HCOG, to have your items brought forward that you think are prioritized, and give the public a chance to give you priorities also. So I think that would be a good thing, because when the money happens, the money happens.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion made by Lynn Glenn, seconded by
I second it.
Alex Ricca. Okay, any further discussion from commissioners?
I like that speed limit idea. Didn't even realize the speed limit sign wasn't in existence yet.
They're gonna do it. I've gotten most of them to slow down already.
We have you.
Yeah, and I'm curious about the sign at the tot lot, because Lynn and I worked on that 40 years ago, so maybe it hasn't been brushed up in a while. All right, any further discussion? No, let's all vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. It passes. Okay, so we're moving that on to the council. Survey is on its way. All right, I feel like we're right towards the end here now. Future agenda items and announcements. We have talked about as a future agenda item, we're going to continue talking about the Public Safety Fair on September 20th. We also might want a report from you concerning the tsunami meeting that you'll be attending.
Redwood Coast Tsunami Work Group.
What work group is that?
So Redwood Coast Tsunami Work Group,
Okay, thank you.
RCTWG.
All righty. Any other future agenda items? I was going to suggest that if you have agenda items, you can let me know. Now, Tony Quigley said, I let her know last Friday some of the items that I thought should be on the agenda. She requested that they be given to her before Friday morning, because Fridays are crazy, I guess. So, but if you have something that you want on the agenda, certainly email me and I'll make sure that it gets on there.
I would like to see a discussion about setting up a regular process for sending recommendations to the council. And just agreeing on a process that we'll use, then we can just use that in the future.
Okay. And we had also talked about the quarterly reports of our
Agency program check-in, we made quarterly,
agency
possibly.
programs. Yeah, that's another thing we can maybe firm up a little bit. Any announcements anyone would like to make?
One more
Oh,
thing.
I'm sorry.
So the pods right now, the Blue Lake Neighborhood Preparedness Pods are starting to do some recruiting. We've been meeting and organizing. They had space at the CERT table yesterday. And they had the map of where the pods were in the city. We got some people who are interested in starting new pods.
Good.
Our goal, of course, is to organize the whole city into pods, because then you can just talk to the coordinators and reach all the families in Blue Lake. It'd be a good system. So maybe the pods would like to do a presentation to the Public Safety Commission so you can understand kind of what the pods are, where they're trying to go right now.
Okay.
But it may not be next meeting, because it sounds like the next meeting's gonna be pretty full. You may want to wait till the next, but anyway, a pod presentation.
Is Jean Stock the contact person, or Doc Campbell, or who would be the contact person there?
There are a lot of contact people right now.
Yeah.
Diana Lynn might be a good person.
Yeah, I don't think Diana Lynn can make it.
Well, she may or may not be here, but she'd be a contact person. She's been
Right.
communicating with us.
Okay. All right.
She's been organizing this.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about someone to be able to physically be here, you know.
Right, they would arrange for that. She would arrange for that.
Okay. Okay. Any other future agenda items that commissioners can think of? Any announcements anyone would like to make? Citywide yard sale is happening August 16th. Sign up is free at City Hall. There's about 20 people already signed up. It's free to sign up.
Bunny Brown Blues Festival, same day.
Same day, which is, I think, a good thing.
Yeah,
because people are going to come through and buy some good stuff that they might need. I can't think of anything else that's going on. So we are at, anybody else have any announcements of future agenda items? Mr. Sawatsky?
I'd like to be not having to beat this dead root in the road item, but I sure would like to have that agendized and taken a look at. I think it's important that the city, when something's pointed out that could cause an accident, which results in loss of life or injury, has an obligation to take a look at these things rather than just pretending they will just go away. So I think that's something that should be on your agenda. The other thing I think should be on your agenda is a safety issue. It's potential enforcement of your rules and regulations and your ordinances in Blue Lake regarding horses and other animals of that nature. That's extremely, been violated by our current city engineer himself and his family personally, and our ex-city manager and other people in Blue Lake who have horses and they're not following the ordinances as required and written under your ordinances. So I would request that that particular ordinance be put on your agenda to be looked into for potential enforcement. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Any other future agenda items or announcements?
So are we going to consider the agenda about horses for a future agenda item?
We can.
Let's get the ordinance before us.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what it is.
Let's get the ordinance before us.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's a little different when there's a parade versus, regularly what happens, but we can look at it.
Every day in Blue Lake.
Yeah, we can certainly look at it. Yeah, we can certainly look at it. Any other future agenda items or announcements? Okay, we'll move on to item 11. We need a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Ted Hill, seconded by Donald Shang. Any further discussion from council? Public, back to council for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes.